Static. And imagine being married less than a year, still riding that newlywed high. Everything's supposed to be perfect, right? At least that's what I thought. Then my wife got concert tickets as a Christmas gift. She was ecstatic, and I thought naturally that I'd be the one going with her. But she hit me with a curveball. She wanted to take a coworker instead, saying he was a massive fan. She even reassured me he was gay, as if that was supposed to ease my mind. I wanted to brush it off, act like it was no big deal, but something about it didn't sit right. The night of the concert, she leaves early with this coworker, and I do my best to ignore the creeping unease. She sends a few texts, updates from the show, trying to assure me everything's normal. But then I get a message that really throws me. She tells me they're waiting by the band's bus after the show, and that she's been talking to the bassist. Not only that, but he invited her to their New Year's Eve concert, over 200 miles away, and offered her free VIP tickets. She jokes that she might have to sleep with him for the tickets, but when I don't laugh, she shrugs it off, saying I'm overreacting. I tried to play along, but that pit in my stomach kept growing. New Year's Eve comes, and she decides to go to the concert with her friend. I tell myself I'm being paranoid, but the hours tick by, and the worry only gets worse. She sends a few quick texts about the drive, a picture of the tickets, but then, silence. Midnight comes and goes, and all I get is a brief 3-word text. I call, text, wait. Nothing until nearly noon the next day when she finally picks up. She sounds groggy, saying she's on her way back to her hotel. I do my best to brush it off, but when she finally gets home that afternoon, she acts like nothing happened. She tells me they stayed up all night with the band, drinking, partying, and now she's nursing a hangover. But something feels wrong. When she heads to the shower, I notice she's shaved. Now, I know this might sound weird, but my wife never shaves unless it's a special occasion, something she does only for me, and that's not all. In her bag, I find a pack of feminine wipes, something she's never used before. The little details keep stacking up, and each one feels like another twist in the knife. Days pass, and the doubts keep gnawing at me. Finally, I decide to confront her, ask her to walk me through every detail of that night. She starts talking, filling in the blanks, but her story is full of strange little details that don't add up. When I ask about the shaving and the wipes, she gets defensive, even jokes that she shaved just in case she wanted to go swimming. But here's the thing, she can't swim. And the more I press, the more she deflects, leaving me with more questions than answers. Valentine's Day rolls around, and I'm trying to push through, to keep our marriage together despite the doubts eating away at me. But then one night, while browsing Reddit, I stumble upon something that stops me cold. She'd been posting on Gone Wild, a subreddit where people share risque photos. I click on her profile, and there it is, a message to a stranger, describing her wildest experience as a New Year's Eve threesome with a famous bassist. I felt the confrontation that followed was one of the worst moments of my life. She tried to lie, saying she was just exaggerating, but I could see right through her. Eventually, she broke down and admitted it. Not only did she sleep with the bassist, but there were others, men she'd been seeing behind my back for months. And the worst part? She barely even seemed sorry. That was the final straw. The next day, I contacted a lawyer and started the process of ending our marriage. But the nightmare didn't stop there. As I began to go through her things, I kept uncovering lie after lie, betrayal after betrayal. It was as if every single thing I'd believed about her was false. Each new revelation felt like a punch in the gut, and I could barely recognize the person I thought I knew. She didn't even try to hide it well, leaving souvenirs from her affairs lying around, as if she didn't care if I found out. My lifeline. The next few months were some of the darkest days I've ever faced. I could barely eat, barely sleep, just doing my best to survive. Therapy became my lifeline, a place where I could talk about the anger, the betrayal, and all the pieces of my shattered life. I started running, throwing myself into anything that might distract me from the pain. Slowly, piece by piece, I began to rebuild. I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years, started making new friends, picking up hobbies I'd abandoned long ago, and somehow, against all odds, I felt myself coming back to life. Now, years later, I sometimes think back to that New Year's Eve and the nightmare that followed. It feels like another life, a past that's still painful but distant. I never thought I'd get over it, but I did, and I'm stronger for it. If anyone out there is going through something similar, just know you'll be okay. Healing isn't easy, and it's definitely not quick, but you'll come out of this stronger than you ever thought possible. And one day, you'll find a way to move on.